welcome to Business Line. Princeton University economist Angus Deaton won the Nobel Prize in Economics for his analysis of consumption, poverty, and welfare. He's been examining how we spend and save, how we distribute spending among different goods, and how to measure poverty and welfare in general. In other words, he's been studying what we know, what we do, and what matters to all of us in our everyday lives. In this edition of Business Line, we take a closer look at his works trying to analyze ourselves and answer an age-old question: can money buy happiness?
The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences has today decided to award the Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel to Angus Deaton for his analysis of consumption, poverty, and welfare.
Awarding the Nobel Economics Prize, the Swedish Academy said the Scottish economist's understanding of individual consumption choices were vital for designing economic policy that promoted welfare and reduced poverty. Angus Deaton, who's 69, is based at Princeton University in the United States and has both British and American citizenship. His research has concentrated on measuring poverty in the developing world and health in rich and poor countries. He'll get a cash prize of over €850,000.
In 2010, Angus Deaton and his Princeton colleague Daniel Kahneman unveiled the study aimed at answering the question whether money can buy happiness. You might say it depends on how much you get. That's absolutely correct. But you might be surprised on how much money you need to feel good. The more the better? Not really. The study, which analyzed surveys of 450,000 Americans in 2008 and 2009, suggested there are two forms of happiness: day-to-day emotional well-being and overall life assessment, which means broader satisfaction. A higher income has no impact on your everyday contentment, but it does boost people's overall life assessment. It even turns out there is a specific number or an income threshold after which more money has no significant effect on the everyday happiness. Could you guess how much is that? What could be this perfectly balanced income that could make you feel happier in the morning? Well, that's $75,000 a year. Until you hit this cap, earning more does feel good. After that, the money doesn't really help. Angus Deaton admits giving people more income beyond $75,000 is not going to do much for their daily mood, but it is going to make them feel they have a better life. If you doubt the study results, let me say that it was conducted not by one, but by two economics Nobel winners. Daniel Kahneman received his prize for the studies in the field of behavioral economics in 2002. This year, laureate said it was Kahneman who sparked his interest in the study of subjective well-being. Well, I now wonder whether he'll change his mind and start working on a new study, having received $975,000 from the Royal Swedish Academy of Science. Whether we earn less or more, our shopping habits are changing really fast. And I don't mean now how much we spend, but rather the way we do it. Recently, it's been all about the online shopping boom, but even this way of spending money and saving time might get more interesting. This is it. This is IT.
First came native videos, then came articles hosted inside the social network. Now, in an effort to monopolize smartphone navigation, Facebook is turning its attention to shopping. Today in the U.S., mobile purchases make up less than 2% of all retail sales, according to eMarketer. The problem is a process often perceived as cumbersome. Redirecting to external websites often entails slow loading times, not to mention the fact that many sites are not optimized for smartphones. Facebook wants to solve all this by connecting people with brands directly inside its app. They're testing features like a new shopping feed, a single place where you can look for products without getting lost in other sections. The trial will begin with a few small businesses in the U.S. who are also trying out the shop section, an area on their page where they can display products. What about ads? Menlo Park is unveiling new formats that allow marketers to showcase entire catalogs without redirecting users. The goal is to win over more and more advertising revenue, but Facebook's challenge to Amazon doesn't stop there. The company already began testing the buy button. And I have a feeling shopaholics worldwide are already warming up their credit cards. That was it. That was IT.
Facebook's rival Twitter has just appointed a new old CEO. Jack Dorsey knows the company as no one else, as he is one of its co-founders. Straight after the board's decision was made official, Jack Dorsey set a few milestones in his tweets. That's what we discussed in our IT dedicated segment last week. Among them, the need to move fast to meet all the challenges Twitter has been facing for a while, but not all the investors expected him to move that fast.
Twitter is to lay off up to 8% of its workforce, nearly 340 employees, in an effort to revive growth. The job cuts, mainly in the company's product and engineering functions, come a week after co-founder Jack Dorsey took over as permanent CEO for the second time. In a letter to employees, he said engineering would move much faster with a smaller and nimbler team, while remaining the biggest percentage of the workforce. The microblogging service provider had more than 4,000 employees at the end of June. Its second quarter net loss came despite a large rise in year-on-year revenue. The growth in average monthly users was the slowest since the company went public nearly 2 years ago. Twitter says it expects third quarter revenue to be at or above the high end of its forecast. The figures are due at the end of October. The Californian company's shares rose nearly 6% on news of the plans.
And finally, the corporate news top story. The world's three largest beer producers are set to merge after SAB Miller finally accepted a very generous offer from AB InBev after 4 previous attempts.
If at first you don't succeed, try again. After being rebuffed several times in its bid to take over SAB Miller, brewing giant AB InBev's perseverance seems to have paid off. The two companies' boards say they've agreed in principle on the key terms of a deal said to be worth over 90 billion euros. SAB Miller, which owns Peroni, says its board is prepared to recommend the offer. It's the biggest ever takeover of a UK company. The maker of Budweiser and Stella Artois is already the world's biggest brewer. The new group will make about a third of the world's beer and control half the industry's profits.
My big question is whether it's good for consumers. Of course, you're creating what some have called the OPEC of beer. It will have enormous global market share, enormous pricing power, and yes, of course, if this deal is to be raised through by the competition authorities, they're going to have to be significant disposals both in North America and in China.
AB InBev says it's prepared to pay over 58 euros in cash per SAB Miller share, more than the amounts previously offered. It's also offered a partial share alternative structure for 41% of the company. A new deadline of 28th of October has been agreed for AB InBev to make a firm offer. It's thought that one factor that may have hastened the deal is the impact of the slowdown in emerging markets such as China, as did a weakening of SAB Miller's position. The new group will give AB InBev access to Africa for the first time.
That was it for now. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.